Good afternoon, everyone. We've hit 12 noon, so let's go ahead and kick things off for today's Iowa Learning Farms Conservation Webinar. Our presenter today is Peter Kyverga. He's a senior research scientist for analytics with Iowa Soybean Association, as well as an affiliate associate professor with Iowa State University's Department of Agronomy. And today we're going to be diving in and exploring the interactive cover crop economic simulator. As we go through the presentation, any questions that you may have, please go ahead and type those in the chat box. And then when Peter gets to the conclusion of his presentation, we'll have some time for a Q&A. So I'll sort through those questions and then deliver those to Peter, and we can have some engaging Q&A time at the conclusion. So please go ahead and type those in the chat as you think of them as we go. Without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Peter. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Anne, for the nice introduction, and welcome to this webinar of Iowa Learning Farms. I know it's a busy time. It's summer, a lot of field work, some field days, and of course, time to think about vacation. So again, welcome to this webinar. I spent 5 years in agronomy department, agronomy hall as a graduate student, and currently I work with many faculty, students, and postdoc across the campus. So again, welcome. Would like to acknowledge Dr. Matt Helmer from Iowa Newton Research Center for connecting us with the Iowa Learning Farms last spring. Before I introduce the tool we developed almost a year ago, I would like to acknowledge our team member, our analytics team members with Iowa Soybean Station, specifically Suzanne. She's data analyst, and she was instrumental in collecting all necessary background information for developing the tool and also developing the feature. Also, Josh McDanel, he's another Iowa State alumnus. He graduated from agronomy department 2 years ago, and he is a GIS data analyst with Iowa Soybean Station, and he developed a unique way to quantify the economic impact of cover crop on reducing soil erosion. So here's my story. Of course, cover crop is not a new topic for this audience, for Iowa Learning Farms farmers, researchers, and stakeholders. There are so many discussions in Iowa about cover crop, the benefits, and potential impact. And as you drive across Iowa, you may see that some farmers already started practicing this practice. But the rate of adoption of cover crop in Iowa is relatively small. So definitely there is a big increase. This is just one set of numbers you can find on the internet. So from 2016 through maybe 21, 20, we have a rapid increase from 600,000 acres to maybe 2 million, maybe 1.5. It depends who counts, but this is still relatively small compared to what the Iowa nutrient reduction strategy called about 12.5 millions of acres of cover crop to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus loads by 45%. There are a lot of reasons why the adoption is slow. It's management, weather, geography, machinery, and also economics. So as we started thinking about this problem, and we as an analytic team with Iowa Soybean Station, what we do often, we develop different tools, decision tools, which allows farmers to comprehend these different problems easier. So we decided to develop this tool, which would quantify the economic impact of cover crop in different situations. And of course, as you're aware, Iowa State University Extension and also NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services people, they have a spreadsheet calculator. Those are cover crop spreadsheet calculator. And of course, you probably either like spreadsheets or hate spreadsheet. So in our case, this is the web-based tool, which can be used on your laptop, cell phone, and tablets. The unique feature of these tools are these three. First of all, the tool allows to reduce time of doing a lot of cover crop research, especially with the impact of yield change. The second, we wanted to emphasize that the importance of not only the cost, which what usually farmers think about cover crop, but also as an income opportunity and cost mitigation opportunity. For example, like farmers now can enroll in different ecosystem services programs or carbon programs that can pay farmers to adopt cover crop. And finally, which was very unique and important, that's to promote the societal or long-term financial benefits of cover crop for the general audience. And I'll tell you a little bit story how we got to that point as we go through. So again, this unique simulator provide these unique differences and also complement the existing spreadsheets, which uses by extension and NRCS. So how do you find this tool? First of all, you can go to the Google engine and type cover crop net return economic simulator or just cover crop economic simulator. It should pop up as the first one. You can also go to the Iowa Soybean Association website, iasoybean.com, go to research, results and tools, and there are a list of tools, and this tool is number 2. That's another way to find it. This is the general view of the tool, which you can find it. By the way, the tool was developed partially funded by Iowa NRCS conservation grant, so and partially through check of dollars from Iowa Soybean Association. This is the way to find the tool. As you go to the tool, this is the general view of the tool. On the top, you can see the 5 different tabs. Application, which I'll describe a little bit, then the user guide, and Suzanne developed the manual and also the YouTube video, which describes how to use the tool. The unique feature of the tool, which I'll show a bit later, it's this interactive erosion map. If you don't have good internet, which is very common in rural places, you can use a static erosion map and also different resources, which we use to develop in the tool. Here on the left, it's all information. This is the place where you would enter or adjust the input information. And what you see here, this is the core, this is the heart of the tool. This is so-called dynamic net return grid or matrix. So essentially, it tells the profit or net return from different combination of yield change, or yield increase or yield loss from cover crop to a wide range of prices. And that's what uniqueness of a tool, that it can allow a user to visualize this combination and make some decisions. Another feature of the tool, you can adjust the yield change on the vertical axis and the price by using these sliders. And later I'll show a little bit how to use it. Again, the tool, the input part of the tool contains 5 different tabs or pages, depending whether you like spreadsheet or not. If you like spreadsheet, you can use like spreadsheet. You just can click from 1, 2, 3 to 4 to 5. Or if you hate spreadsheet, you can use as a drop-down menu here. So these tabs or pages are the field market information, the cost to establish cover crop, the income opportunities, a cost mitigation opportunity, and also the last one, it's called added value for the greater good, which was developed by the suggestion from farmers. So in this window, the best way to start playing with the tool is to specify the field as the 1 acre, just for simplicity, and then you have to specify the crop, the yield, the price, and so on. The net return or dynamic grid matrix or profit grid, it's a unique way to visualize this impact of yield change and market price. And you can think about this as an old road atlas. Remember that before cell phones and we had to carry a road atlas in our cars, and this grid used the same way. So you can just find combination of yield change and market price, the same way as we used to do with distance from Chicago to Des Moines or Des Moines to St. Louis. So everything is changes as you change some value in the tool, everything dynamically will change. So this is the example where changes happen in the input, the return grid is changed. And again, net return, it's a value of the yield change. So it's a yield increase or decreased multiplied by price minus plus different offsets and minus the cost. So that's the core of this, the partial budget analysis. In other terms, in economics, you would call this sensitivity analysis, because here we're trying to address the range of prices and the range of yield changes at the same time. You can specify the increments of yield, of course. First of all, if for example, if corn yield is 200, the slider on the left, which is a unique feature, you can move left and right, and you can specify the increment change. In this case, the slider is 1%, so it's a two bushel increments, 2 bushel increment loss, or 2 bushel increment loss, or 2 bushel increment gain. The same can be done with the price. You notice for the zero, no yield change, it's a white row in the matrix. And if we lose yield, everything is going to be in red. If we gain yield, everything is going to be in blue. Again, that's to help people to visualize these impacts. That's the same idea. Again, it's the same way to show it. You can do the same with the price, and of course, prices change much, and prices never are stable, or they never predicted. Right now, of course, we have corn $8, but who knows what's happened in a couple of months. So here's the way to think about this grid. One way to think about grid is to look at the worst case scenario for the net return, where we lose yield from cover crop and the price is low, like in this case. So here would be $15 lost, $16 loss per acre. Or thinking about the best case scenario, where we gain yield and the price of crop is high. Another way to look is as to see the maybe minimal yield change, 1 bushel yield loss, and then finding specific price. Again, that should be very, very intuitive. And as we work with farmers, they found this is very, very helpful and very simple. Why we care about yield change? So this is the example of long-term on-farm trials, which is done by Iowa Soybean Association for the last 5 years. So in these trials, and many groups across state do the same. I believe the Practical Farmer of Iowa do the same. Iowa State Researcher, where they study the long-term impact of cover crop on yield and different properties. So here, farmer would plant cover crop in the same place, in the same strips for the last 5 years and having control. So here on the vertical axis, I have a yield difference, a yield change, or impact of cover crop on yield. And then here's over time. And corn is depicted in dots, and soybean is depicted in triangles. You notice that for the first and second year, and maybe third, there are some yield losses. Farmer lose yield from cover crop, and there are a lot of reasons for that. First, they probably get used to, learn how to manage, plant, fertilize, terminate, and so on. So that's not really new. The problem is that a lot of time when farmers start cover crop and they see the yield losses, they would often quit. Another way to look at this is to look at the yield change as a percentage, so in relative sense. So now everything expressed as percentage for the base yield. And you notice that what it tells there that looks like the yield loss is mostly in year 1. And over time, the yield loss is really minimal. In some cases, it goes up. And again, the yield change is an important part of the overall budget for the cover crop impact. For the cost, that's page number 2. For the cost, it has all potential changes or needed to address the cost. It's either from seed cost, planting, labor, hourly, termination. There are a lot of these pieces which, again, Suzanne spent a lot of time researching this and specify this default value. So what is good about this is that all these default values can be edited. You can, if you have your own numbers or want to see the impact of other numbers, you can click edit and specify your own number. For the income opportunity here on the right, we have a grazing, cover crop grazing. By the way, there are different types of cover crop here. You can specify annual, perennial, and different species, which I'll show a little later. For the income opportunities, which again, it's not new that, for example, grazing can be very productive and change the economics of cover crop. Again, you can change this number as for specific practice for specific farm. What is unique, another unique feature of this tool, that it's the first tool ever, at least in the country, which has the, in addition to annual cover crop, it has a perennial cover crop information. And this is the practice which being researched by a group of scientists from Iowa State here in campus, specifically by Dr. Moore and Cynthia Bartle from Agronomy Department and Raj Raman from Agriculture Biosystem Engineering. They provided this data for the perennial cover crop, PGC, we call it. So these are cool season grasses which planted and then required to be terminated or knocked down during planting. But they specify this economics data and they're either by 5-year average or by annual. Right now, we cannot change these numbers. They're stable, static, but as they get more data, they can be adjusted. And also right now, it's only for the corn, not for the soy. And again, that's a unique feature of the tool. The most important part which we want to emphasize, especially working with farmers, it's a cost mitigation opportunities. And for the cost mitigation opportunity for cover crop, the tool has all different options for state and federal assistance. The first year, second year, crop insurance discount, a QUIP program, a CSP program for 5 years. Everything is easy to navigate, specify, or you can put your own number. In addition, the tool also provides the different options with ecosystem services programs. And we know that recently there are a lot of these programs that pay farmers for practicing cover crop. And here, by default, we put it Ag Outcome Soil and Water Outcome Fund from Iowa Soil Association, but you can specify your own or change the number if it's needed. In addition to this, we have an input window for the improved soil health, organic matter, for improved water retention, because cover crop would help either remove water or they especially in drought, the cover would reduce transpiration. Early season profitability impact if it's too wet. Also reduce insurance requirement and also reduce commercial fertilizer needs if it's needed. What's more unique for the tool is which allows to estimate the impact of cover crop on erosion and specifically quantify this in dollars per acre value. And that's what Josh McDanel developed. He created the long-term average erosion map across Iowa. And this is from Iowa State University Daily and Soil Erosion Project. So a user can go to this interactive map, a static map. You can find your place, your watershed, Hot-12 watershed, you click it. And what's happening there, we have an estimate of average erosion. And then using the assumption that cover crop are 50% efficient in reducing erosion, and then the average county land value, we can estimate the dollar amount per acre of saving from using cover crop. And again, this is very unique. And you can click and this automatically will be adjusted in the tool. So in this case, this is one of the field or area in, I believe it's in Guthrie County, and you can see that the average price, land price in 21 was $7,000. Again, this is quite unique and quite slick. And again, you can change this number as well. The other part, which we really didn't think first as we started developing the tool, it's the added value for the greater good. As we develop this tool, we have a farmer advisory group or team, which as we develop different features, we would provide them some of these features and they would provide us feedback. So essentially it was a two-way communication as we developed the simulator. And in the end, what was really clear that they wanted us to include all of this, and we call them added value for the greater good or societal values. But these are, for example, reduced water purification, reduced water pollution, safer water for recreation and wildlife, improve climate moderation, reduce flooding, reduce insurance, reduce cleanup, and you can see this increased pollinator population. So again, there are a lot of these societal benefit or public benefit, which they really think about this. We put the best estimate here so far because there is no really literature or references for some of these, but this would provide you some average assessment how people and farmers and others see these different benefits, impact of cover crop. Right now, this page, this added value for the greater good is not connected to dynamic net return, but later, as we get more confidence and more references, we will definitely connect this to the And again, that's very unique, which we don't know anyone else is using this type of estimations. So now I describe you several features of the tool, and I want to show you some of the examples. I'll show you 3 different examples. One is cover crop economic simulation example using with corn and soybean. And the last one is going to be with relay cropping system in example from Iowa. Now you would ask why we care about simulations. Of course, simulation, it's one of the useful tool, educational tool, and even these professional pilots can learn a little bit from this young pilot rookie on this baby helicopter. So here's the first example. This is a farmer. This is central Iowa, and the farmer is the first year. He or she has a first year cost share payment, $25. We also based on the interactive erosion map, the value of cover crop in reduction erosion is about $8 per acre. We also put here $5 improvement in organic matter soil health and $5 improvement in water retention. And again, these $5 number are probably very conservative, very small, but that's the base. And this is for corn. So if you see this here, if there is a no yield change, there is a small increase in net return. It's about $5 per acre. In the worst case scenario, you notice that if the price is low and yield loss is big for corn, which is not unusual, we lose about $13. In the best case scenario, we gain about this is the gain from the best case scenario, $26. If you look at the averages here, if we get yield bump 1 bushel, the net return is $10, and if you lose 1 bushel, we lose some, maybe $1. So again, that's a way to visualize these impacts. Another thing to notice here, as the price goes up, you notice that the loss actually goes up too. So notice that the negative number increase, and as the price goes up, the positive number increase. That's uniqueness too, because again, yield, it's a big factor in these estimations. So this is for corn. For soybean, the trend is the same. So I have a same input here. By the way, this is the total mitigation, about $43 per acre. But these are net returns. So in the soybean case, you notice that because soybean prices are higher, the extremes are larger. So if in a worst case scenario, we're losing about $40, In the best case scenario, we're gaining about $60. But again, if this usually soybean yield doesn't change much or increase, so if we get at least one bushel of yield increase, we are gaining about $16 per acre in return with these conditions which are specified on the left. So here, another way to look at this, this is the ecosystem services practices. And again, here we apply $33 per acre for water and outcome fund, and $9 for reduce erosions, $5 for improved soil health. And again, if you look at average number, even with one bushel yield increase, and this is for corn, we are gaining about $15 per acre return. For soybean, that's the same way. We're probably gaining more because again, soybean price is high. The last example I want to show you, it's an example with really cover crop, and this is from Iowa. This picture provided by Theo Gunther. He manages a couple of these trials in northeastern Iowa with farmers. And so here for the really cover crop, we have to include more inputs. First of all, we as farmer would sell cover crop seeds or use on our own farm. There is also cost for harvesting, adding fertilizer, maybe fungicide, cleaning. Here we assume that the yield of rye is about 38 bushel per acre, and the yield change for the soybean goes from -10 to +10. Of course, usually you would assume we lose the yield. You notice that these numbers are really positive because again, even if we harvest lower yield, the economics is that it will pay to make it. And you also notice that as the price goes up, the return will goes down as for the negative yield values or for the yield losses. So again, that's another unique feature of the tool that can be used by farmers. So in conclusions, we noticed that farmers started using the tool, especially we regard that there are a couple of cover crop seed dealers, and they use the tool to promote cover crops and for their operation. And the value of this simulation is that it allows to combine agronomic, environmental, economic outcomes in one place. And another unique feature that it also allows to focus on this community or societal benefits, which is quite unique and allows people to think more about this economics. And finally, it demonstrates that the yield loss is the best approach to help farmers adopt cover crops and focus on economics and management. So this is how to find the tool. Another way to at Iowa Administration website, and these are information mine and Suzanne. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Excellent, thank you. We do have a number of questions that have already come in the chat, and if anyone else has additional questions, please go ahead and type those in, and we will go ahead and dive in with our questions here. So for starters, what different species of cover crops are included in the simulator tool? You mentioned there's perennial ground cover and then a number of the annual cover crops. Can you give us a lowdown on which species are included?
It's only classified by type of cover crop. Annual rye, mixture, yeah. We don't separate by species at this point, and then perennial cover crops.
Okay. How are you utilizing land values versus fertilizer costs in the discussion of erosion?
Yeah, that's another thing which actually a good question. One of the farmers suggested us to think about this because as we reduce erosion, as we lose soil, definitely we lose nutrients, right? And so right now it's only based on the land value, not based on the nutrient value. But we didn't really find any calculation if it would specifically connect to the nutrient value, which I assume is going to be higher than our estimates. And in fact, we are kind of feel that our estimates are very conservative, so they can be adjusted. Yeah, good question. By the way, we're also thinking about make adjustment for the, right now we assume that the cover crop are 50% efficient in reducing erosion, which is, again, it's very conservative. It depends what cover crop and where.
Okay, can you tell us more about Iowa Soybean Association's Ag Outcomes Soil and Water Outcomes Fund for those that are not familiar with that program?
Yeah, it's a for-profit entity. It was established two years ago. They work with farmers. They have grants and partnership with different industry, and they recruit farmers, and farmers would sign up for the programs. And the uniqueness of this fund that they focus on both water quality outcome and cover. And that's why they relatively higher paid than programs, ecosystem services program focused on only one program.
Sounds good. Okay, another question here. Would including external payments, would that not skew the results? So the person who submitted this said, unless the external payments are consistent and available throughout the time you're utilizing the cover crops. So could you speak to that at all, how the external payments are factored in?
Yeah, that's true. So in our input features, we have a first year state program, the second year 5-year CSP or equip. Definitely that's a big part. What we hope that in the future, as we are getting much better in estimating these especially societal benefits and maybe soil health and other, those will decrease the impact of these other payments for making this practice economical and profitable.
Okay, next question. Where can we learn more about the source and methodology for the default prices, the default settings in the tool?
Yeah, good question. So there is the resource page in the tool, which provide the list of resources we used. That's what Suzanne compiled, okay, it's not really exhaustive. Some of these numbers we couldn't find. They come to just with discussion with agronomists here, farmers, and other as we develop the tool. But the best way to go to the tool, and there is a resource page with a different list of articles, stories, and also ecosystem services programs.
Okay, with the simulator tool, is that currently, or are there future plans to have that available as an app, or will it be an online kind of a desktop version?
Well, you can still use on the phone. You need to just flip the phone so the grid, the return grid matrix looks good. Yeah, again, we didn't really think first when we developed the tool. We asked farmers what they prefer. Have said no cell phone. They have said yes. So the middle was that it works, but you have to play around a little bit.
Okay, excellent. Folks, if anyone has additional questions, feel free to type those in. We did have a question come in if the copy of the slides will be available. We will have a recording of the presentation up on the Iowa Learning Farms website by Friday. And in terms of the slides, Dr. Kyverga, if you'd be willing to share, I can connect you with the person who was requesting those.
Yeah, definitely these slides. I can send you a PDF copy.
Okay, sounds good. So you and I can sort that out afterwards, and we can make those available to anyone that would like those. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and announce the CCA CEU credits. And if you have any final questions, now's your time to get those in. So in terms of Certified Crop Advisor continuing education units, if you were seeking credits for today's webinar, please send an email this afternoon. So by 5 p.m., you're going to send that to Liz Ripley. So her email is on the screen here, and I will also post that in the chat. Her email is ejuchems@iastate.edu, and it's requested that you send your name, the name you used to watch the webinar, and then your CCA number. We will then verify that and get that submitted for CEA CEU credits. Okay, let's take a look at the next webinar presenter for our next slide. All right, so next week, next Wednesday, June 15th, we will be diving into soil health management and measurement across agricultural systems in the Midwest with our friends from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Matt Roark and Abigail Augarten. We do have another question that's come in. One of the main benefits, one of our viewers said, one of the main benefits I've observed is a reduction in the amount of herbicide required to control weeds, particularly in soybeans. Is that factored in, or if not, is there a reason that wasn't included in the simulator?
I think it is. There is a in the beginning there is a you have to click. Yeah, it is. It's there.
Would you be able to go back to that slide? Do you have your slide where you had the inputs towards the beginning to show us?
I got stuck. It's in the beginning, so
no worries. Okay, no problem.
It's in the tool. It's in the tool.
Okay, so that is something that users can. There are baseline default values in there, and that can be also edited by the user.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question: how have the inputs been validated in the tool?
Well, we use the basic data from different sources. Some average sources. Again, those are best guesses, but a lot of time we hope that farmers and user will use their own, so they can instead of defaults, will use their own. But most of those are based on the Iowa State Extension annual cost publications, which ISU Extension publish every year.
All right, sounds good. Okay, I'm scrolling through. It looks like I have covered all the questions that have come in through the chat here. So excellent questions. Thank you, everyone. Great discussion. That is what we have for today. We hope you all will join us next Wednesday for our next webinar. Friendly reminder about CCA CEU credits. Shoot an email to Liz Ripley. Her information is in the chat there by 5 p.m. today for the CEA CEU credits. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining. Thanks. Thank you.